Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Power Hour of Self-Care. I am the Self-Care Warrior of the Mental Health Warriors, and thank you for joining us today. I have an amazing gentleman joining me today, and I look so forward to our conversation. I'm a little nervous because he is so special and dear to me. So sit back, grab your favorite beverage, and be informed you are going to have a very deep, beautiful conversation with us. We'll be right back after I play the video. Hi, and welcome back. And I'm here with Walter Moore, my boyfriend of how many years now?
Too long.
Well, the topic today is about mental health and relationships, and I picked balance, love, and laughter. So, first, let me click on comments to see who's joined us so far. There's Adam. Hello, Adam. And thank you for joining us. And I told you he's not going to be serious throughout this whole thing, except for when I ask him the very deep questions.
Then I won't be serious at all.
One of the reasons I wanted Walter to come on was because he's been here through thick and thin with me on my journey with mental health. And it hasn't been that bad. Sometimes it's been stressful, I got to admit. So the thing I did this morning was to go on to Google and search relationships and mental health, because I wanted to see sort of the balance, because one of the things I love to talk about is balance. And he's the catalyst of that, because when I met him, he says, well, Annette, you need balance. And I'm like, huh? I'm kind of clueless, right? And so, part of my balance is being informed. And so I went in and I discovered that cohabitation marriage, transitional is increased in our society, like separation, divorce has increased very much in our society. And it talks about how does that affect our mental health? So I've heard Walter's stories about what he went through with his transitions and relationships. He's heard my stories, and neither one of us would disagree, or that either one of our sufferings is any less than the others. But
you win. by far, you win. Oh, she wins. She wins. Oh, by far.
Yeah.
My suffering hasn't been anywhere close. Nowhere close. No, you definitely win.
Yeah, but it doesn't make like on my last show, I think you tuned in for the panel I did with the men.
Yeah.
And we talked about men and men's mental health. And I was really hoping he'd come on that show, but he didn't. But that's okay. I convinced him to come on this time. But I like to always talk about the impact mental health has on both sexes, because we're equal. I mean, we experience suffering on a human level, so it's not like a man's suffering is any less than a woman's, and vice versa. I think you would agree with that.
Yes. Yeah. Women have more outlets, though.
Yes.
By far.
Absolutely.
By far.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I want to talk about this stuff about the transitions on our health involved around separation and divorce, based on different relationships and how it affects us. And this study that I read about, it goes on about, the men. Actually, it's a British panel survey that they did. And they talk about a lot about how men do better in cohabitation and women do better with their mental health in marriage. And I would love to get into a more in-depth research survey about that, because why is that so? Why do you think that is?
Expectations.
Yeah.
Men go in with virtually no expectations. They expect that their partner's going to be the same partner 20 years from now, which is all wrong.
Do you
And
think I'm the same?
women seem to go into it now, and not all, but a lot of women seem to go into relationships with the expectation that they're going to fix this guy, and that's a recipe for disaster.
Yeah, that's been your experience.
Yeah.
Have you had that experience with me?
I was never intended to fix you, but yeah, I think you thought you were going to fix me in certain things. And I straightened out very early that no, you're not. And you realized, yeah, he's not going to change those things. And then you went, okay, which is unusual. Usually women go, no, I will change him.
Do you think men do that to women?
Some, yes, absolutely. On the whole, no, I think most men get involved with the woman that they're interested in.
Yeah.
That's why they're getting involved with her, because they're interested in her. Otherwise, they don't want to get involved. Men are, on the whole, aren't looking for a relationship. Some are, right? There are certainly, monogamous or, serial relationship men that just go from one relationship to another. They cheat on this one to go with the next one.
Kind of that impact.
Well, that messes up a whole bunch of people along the way.
Yeah, that affects a lot of people's mental
health. And
health.
That's always the problem is, the people that have been here before me for you have created problems for you, vice versa for me. And thereby those problems come with us.
Yeah.
Right. And sometimes they pop their head up. Well, usually the other person is just like, the hell did I do?
Because we bring our baggage into the relationship. Like that, those mental health issues, like I can say from myself, was mostly cleared up when I met you. And no.
I told you that when I first met you. You were like, I'm all cleared out, I'm healed. And I was like, no, you're not. And clearly over the time we've been together, you're not. I don't think anybody gets over it. You live with it, but every once in a while, something pops up that triggers those reminders. And you'll go off the deep end. And not just you, everybody does this.
Yeah, no, I don't take this personally.
People go off the deep end and lose it over something that we should, right? Been there, done that lots of times. Right? Where it's something related to something that we went to before, and we're sort of not letting that one happen again. Yeah. And that seems to be a very strong, in my mind, a strong thing of not going to let that happen again. Or, no, you're not going to do that.
It's sort of like the things you learned in the previous relationship, you implemented it to not let happen in the next relationship. Yeah.
Really, I haven't had a lot of bad things happen to me in relationships.
You've been fortunate.
I love it. I mean, I've gone with some very nice women. Never really had that much of a problem, but on the other hand, I've been usually the one to leave.
Yeah.
Right.
Do you feel that there's in relationships there's a lot of mental health issues?
Oh, huge. There's in life, it doesn't matter if you're in a relationship or you're single, or it doesn't matter. Everybody's got issues, right? Show me anybody that hasn't got issues, and I'll show you that you're not looking close enough. Right? Because there are some people that are really good at hiding, but they got their issues and their problems. They have their fights and with other people and all this. It's just part of life. Yeah.
But part of the things I was reading about here, I already mentioned about the improving. Okay, so this is a new topic. So improving.
We're very serious here.
Yeah, but we're also laughing about ourselves because I have some questions for you that are going to make really good conversation. You should see when it's viewers are watching this,
Okay.
You can't
If they-
behave himself.
If they're not laughing, then get a life, I guess. What can I tell you?
Jeez. So, do you think getting into a relationship and working on improving your relationship, like you and I know we've worked hard at improving our relationship from when it first started. Like, of course, you got to first get to know each other, know each other's triggers, and things that make us angry, things that make us unhappy. Like, you wouldn't deliberately, without knowing, push my buttons that would get my mental health going.
But I don't think you work hard at it. That's BS to me. You don't work hard at it because it's easy to you.
It's easy for who?
It's easy for the person that cares.
But in the relationship should be two caring people.
There you go.
Should
If both people are caring,
yeah,
it's easy because you're always thinking about the other person. You're always thinking about, would they like that? Would, if I was them, would I like that? Those kind of things. You always think about those things, so that a lot of the problems that happen where people aren't thinking like that don't happen. But, things still do happen. I still push your buttons every once in a while. I know.
Yeah, but there are ones that don't activate my pain body. Like,
I try not to, but like everything, right? We try, right? You try and do things that might aggravate me. You try to avoid them, right? That doesn't mean you're not going to do them.
No, I don't. I don't expect perfection.
Like there's ones that you've mentioned to me, and I just stood there and says, "Well, you got to deal with it," right? Because to me, it was unrealistic expectation.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I just looked at you and said, "That's your problem. You've got to deal with it." Right. You didn't like it at the time, but after you thought about it a minute, you went, "Yep."
Yeah. Without getting into specifics.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. But we've all got those things where you'll raise things, and it's just like, that's not the other person's problem. It really isn't. But you don't think about it that way. It's their problem. It's whatever it is, they're doing it, and it's their issue. It's always them.
Yes.
Right. And the reality is, as soon as you start looking at it, is it me? And that's when your whole life starts to change. I find when you really start looking inwards at, what could you have done, or did you do anything, or did you not do something you should have done?
Yeah.
That changes a lot of your perspective on things.
Yeah.
Always looking at they and them should have or shouldn't have done something just gets you mad at everybody else all the time. Whereas quite often when you start looking at, could I have done something? And your answer is, yeah, I could have, I should have, I didn't. Right. And then you start trying to make it better for you so that the next time you run into those kind of situations, maybe you'll act a little better. Right. And that's part of it too, is just getting older. When I was 22 years old, I would get upset over all types of things that wouldn't bother me at all now. Right. But when I was 22, I didn't go through those things. So as I went through them several times, mostly,
to learn your lesson.
In some cases, many, many, many times, still haven't learned. But then hopefully you react to it better. You hope.
Yeah.
Right. And quite often you realize that, nope. I know I shouldn't have done that. I knew everything, but I still did it anyhow.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not quite sure why I'm stupid that way, but I don't know if you are, but I'm quite stupid that way sometimes.
So when you first said to me about talking about balance, maybe share with the viewers, were you talking specifically of what specifically were you talking about? Like, were you talking about the balance for my mental health, the balance within the relationship for the two of us? Why did you bring up the topic balance? How did that come up? Refresh my memory.
Actually, at the time, you were all extreme one way of love, kindness, compassion. It's all happiness. It's all that. And I was trying to show you, no, you have to have a balance. There has to be a balance of, well, you got good stuff going on, and you got bad stuff going on. And there's this balance always going on.
You know what? You brought up the perfect subject for this book. I always bring books on when I'm on my show.
Okay? So you always have this balance in life.
Yes.
And to look at it as, oh, gee, I've had something wrong. Well, yeah, everybody's got something going on wrong every day. You tripped over your own shoelaces, whatever it is. Okay. Somebody else caused you a problem. They cut you off, this kind of stuff. By the way, that bothers me a lot, but
Yeah, a lot of people get upset.
yeah,
over that.
exactly. And it's just like, but there's a point where I just go, they probably had something to do or something. And try, and for my own good, just sit there and write it off.
So you were trying to teach me that there's what's this? How do you pronounce this? Equanimity?
That's it, equanimity.
Yeah.
I don't even know what that word means. It came out of here. You read it on the book.
Yeah.
Equanimity.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, this is the Revolutionary Art of Happiness. I just finished reading this.
It's not about equality.
Right.
Because if you look for equality, same as in relationships, you'll never find it. I personally believe that if you don't feel you're doing 80% of the work, you're not doing enough. Right? Because the reality is every little thing that you do, everything you do, everything you think of doing for that other person.
Yeah.
They don't know 10% of what you're actually thinking of and doing and all that, because they're not paying attention to the stuff that you're doing so much.
Yeah.
They're paying attention to the stuff that they're doing.
It's almost
so everybody goes, look it, I've done da 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 da, and what have you done? And they don't realize that you've done a whole bunch of stuff too.
It's sort of like the players in a theater. You have the actor out front, and then you got all these people behind doing all this stuff to get you ready for the person in front. It's almost like that division of labor you're describing. That's how I see it when you're describing this. Like
it's like you have two people, and one person almost always feels they are doing more. And then if you talk to the other person, they'll sit there and say, I'm doing at least as much or more than the other person. Both sides seem to do that. The reality is that they're probably both right.
Yeah.
Because this one's doing a set of stuff over here.
Yeah.
And this one's doing a set of stuff over there. They're not paying attention to what either one of them is doing so much. Or they think that whatever they're doing is simple and easy. What I'm doing is hard. And that's all BS. Right? Yeah. What everybody's doing is hard. That's one of the things that taught me about working in a lot of different companies and different sections of companies, is that every section doesn't know what the other section does and thinks they're all useless and don't do anything. And the reality is they all work. They're all doing their jobs and rushing around and all under the same stress and everything else in every section.
Right.
Same in relationships. Both people are usually trying, assuming you've got a considerate, loving relationship, right? If you've got somebody that's looking at you as a slave, then what are you doing there?
Like narcissistic relationships. We've had bullies on this show, on the Warriors, talk about bullies. We talk about narcissistic people.
But then once you have identified that in any way, shape, or form, you got to be going, I got to get out of this.
Or ask yourself why you're in this relationship. It's how it's affecting your mental health.
Yeah, but don't even ask why am I here, because you are. Just get out of it now. Figure out everything later. But for now, get out of everything. Just get out of there, back out. I sit there and say, slow down even. Right? People that are not stable there, I guess you'd say, won't take that well. They will lose it. They'll, hunt you, and they'll do all types of weird things. And that's when you know that, boy, I really got to get out of here.
Yeah.
And then if it means like leaving so nobody even knows where you're at, then that's what you got to do.
Yeah, I've been there, done that.
There are, it's not both sides, but unfortunately, predominantly it's men that are the violent, the stalkers, those kind of things. And unfortunately for women, that makes it challenging at times to, be involved with guys at all. I think it's just like, is this another stalker? Right? when you start a relationship, how do you not think that? Like, I don't understand why women get in relationships.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, a lot of times we think we're okay. And when I say we're okay, means we think that love is going to predominantly make the relationship work. And
It's
it's
going to
not.
fix everything,
Yeah.
and it doesn't.
No.
Love is just is just an emotion. It's a fleeting emotion,
Yeah.
right? You love me right now, but I do things to you. Boy, you hate me at the moment. Right? And I've done that to you just to show you that. I've done that to you just to show you that, it's very fleeting, that most of the time you love me and you're wonderful and everything else. But every once in a while I can do something and you're not so loving.
But I'm able to cope with those kind of things now. It's not like I take it so personally that my mental health is affected by it.
No, not now, but there was periods where I had to just sit there and say, like, remember the perfect example is, and that's why.
When we were walking outside?
No, and that's why what's that statement? What's the statement I always used to say? And that's why I.
Oh, yes, I know which one you're talking about.
Right.
And this, Your Honor, is why I killed her.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And yes, that
and
used
to trigger you badly.
Yeah. Well, that's
one of those ones I had to say.
Let me share that with the viewers. Why? Because my mental health was deeply affected by threats from my previous husband.
Yeah.
Right. So when something like a saying like that appears to me very negative, where you're coming across jokingly, a person like myself who was raised with such inability to speak my truth and share my feelings about something with someone, because in reflection of that, I would get hit or you screamed at or told I was stupid or something to that degree. It was not a place where I could go safely. With you, I can go there safely. Our relationship is built around trust and respect
and nonviolence.
And yes, and definitely
that's a big part of it. It's nonviolence. There is no violence. There is none. There's no. Right. So it's like, to me, I don't understand that so much. I know it's there. I know it happens all the time. I don't agree with it, like most men don't. I don't think most men do, but there's a certain amount of men that think that's all fine.
Yeah.
Right. And unfortunately, that's reality. I think most men, no. And I don't think most men were like that when they look back in the day, were that way with their wife.
Mm-hmm.
Right. They didn't do that. My dad never did that with my mother.
Right.
Never, that I ever remember, ever even raised a hand to her or anything. Never. Right. They argued and yelled and screamed and hollered, but never.
Yeah.
Never anything like that. Right. And to me, no, it's like a huge advantage, unless the guy is the same size as the woman and they're both, equally capable of something, then I sort of go, well, have at it. But to me, it's lopsided. It's like a big guy fighting a little guy, a kid. It's like, what are you doing? They can't win. There's no chance for them whatsoever. It's not a fight. Right? That's a slaughter. That's a difference. And this is why it bugs me. Right. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's not one of those things. Like I said, I don't think a lot of men feel that way. I think a lot of men are bothered by that.
Right.
Right.
So is there a point in what was like, what is the thing that caused most of or any of the hardest part in your life when your mental health was like tottering and you were struggling within relationships? What do you think caused your suffering within relationships?
Most time me.
Yourself?
Yeah.
So you were so aware of yourself that you didn't blame the other person. You didn't feel like.
Well, remember, I was usually the one leaving.
Okay, so you took it upon yourself to look after your own mental health. You're a person that is so, I don't see you as being deeply depressed. Either you hide it really well.
Oh, I can be depressed, but I learned very young
Mm.
to release emotions,
And
let
who
them out.
taught you that?
I did.
You taught yourself, so you're super wise.
It was just, no, it was like people used to sit there and say, oh, men don't cry. Right? And that was big in my generation.
Mm.
And I used to sit there and say, no, 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 it's a great release. You cry and you feel better after, right? Men don't understand that and aren't allowed to do that.
You even cry with me when I'm crying.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, together releasing like that, it feels wonderful.
Oh, it hurts to see someone else cry.
Yeah, you're very sensitive, and you're very sensitive about animals. I see you when you're struggling with something emotionally, that you reach out to Sam, it's our doggy, and
Oh, yeah.
you reach out to me, you reach out to your friends. I mean, you have a very strong sense of self, like your needs, your feelings.
I have a strong sense of right and wrong.
Yeah,
Whether it's right or wrong is debatable, but I have a strong sense of right and wrong.
yeah,
Right? There are things to me that are right, and there are things that are wrong, especially when you go into relationships.
mm.
Right? You know, if the other person doesn't make you laugh, you got to go, because they should. Right? They should want to make you, they heard a joke. They should want to tell it to you to make you laugh, because you laughing should make them feel good. And if you're laughing doesn't make them feel good,
Yeah,
then you got to ask yourself, are they really that interested in you? Because there are all types of people that aren't. Right?
yeah.
Like your laugh. Your laugh gets me to laugh. I don't even think the thing that you're laughing at is funny. But my God, your laugh can make me laugh. Right? So, especially when you
I do the snorting.
when they're snorting. Oh
Yeah,
my God.
when I
can't
laugh
do that.
uncontrollably.
Yeah, that's the best.
Yeah.
Right?
So, one of the things I read on this finding was that women take longer to mentally recover from partnership breakups
Well, I
than men
don't know
do.
about that.
Oh, we wouldn't agree or disagree with that?
We jump into, you know, rebound relationships very easily, more often than not. Men do.
Yeah.
Right? There's an awful lot of men out there that feel like they can't survive without a woman.
Yeah.
I'm
I've
surprised.
had
I'm really
relationships.
surprised how many there are. Those are the serial relationship guys. They're literally bouncing from relationship to relationship, and if they're splitting up one relationship, they're rushing to get into another one.
Do you think that's healthy or unhealthy? Like, what's your opinion about that?
Hey,
Depends
each
on
person depends on the person. For some people, it's great. They're into relationships and they're great in relationships and they do wonderful in relationships.
yeah.
Other people, they shouldn't have been in the relationship in the first time, and now they're jumping into another one,
Yeah.
which is just going to screw up someone else. Right?
Right.
Perfect examples are
Some of my relationships.
your ex.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, he wasn't even out of a relationship before he jumped into another one. He started another one with mine.
It's a perfect example of serial relationships.
Yeah.
Right. They're already into another one before they're out of the one.
Yeah.
Because they don't want that, even the night alone to them is just like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Right. It's something terrible. And that's a personality trait. It's not right or wrong. It's just that's a personality trait. They like to be in company.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And they do not do well by themselves.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, okay. I like that you always talk about right or wrong. It's not neither right nor wrong, good or bad, because I have the same kind of philosophy, and I think that's one of the reasons we click so well when it comes to a topic. I can listen to you talk about something that is profoundly important to me, but you may disagree, and you look at it as it's neither right nor wrong because it's my perspective on things.
Yeah. Like if I go to talk to you about my game that I've been playing lately, way too much, by the way, and I totally agree with her. I've given up the game. You I talk to you about my game, and her eyes just gloss over like she's
Oh
not
yeah.
there.
Oh my
And
God.
it's like, it's amazing. It's like,
Yeah.
and I,
But
but then she comes running up to me and, oh my God, I got my thing going and he's going here, da, 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 da. And I'm just like, oh yeah, oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
he's
I'm
always
about
glossed
as
over.
interested as she is in the game, but I'm not allowed to go.
Talk to him, oh, I met this wonderful person and they meant this much to me and they did this with me and
Yeah.
oh, and they were so kind and so generous. Yeah. But you don't really gloss over except for when it's something like, you know,
No, because it's
you have a
important to
better
you.
attention span than me.
Yes, because it's important to you. That's why.
Yeah, but computers is another thing. I just
Oh yeah, trying to get you to show you anything on a computer or do anything with a computer, which is my field. Forget it.
yeah.
No, no, it
There's no
just
balance there.
glossing over. Right, like soon as they say let's talk computers, oh gone. She's off, and she'll sit there for 2 minutes, and then she'll figure out something that she has to do. She has to go cook something. She has to go make something. She has to go answer a phone. Anything, anything. She cannot last 2 minutes, and it's stuff for her. So
Oh
yeah,
my God.
yeah.
That's too funny. I wanted to I wanted you to share about a little bit about grief. Now I don't every time I talk to you about your mom, uh you cry and we always cry in this show, so you know, we've already covered the topic of crying. But men and grieving, is that another area? I don't think I touched on this with my panel with the other men, but men and grieving, that I think that is an important part of your own mental health as well, because self-care, disguised as I'm a man and I have to be strong, isn't really conducive to getting through that part in your life, like coping with what happened with your mom. It was
I think that there's not really a whole lot of mechanisms out there for men. A matter of fact, it's exactly the opposite. If you try and show anything, people will ridicule you and they'll basically joke on you type situations. They'll pick on you.
and that's like a stigma around men's mental well-being.
Oh yeah, yeah. Come on. Look how many women you know that have stood there and said, look at that bitch, she's crying. Right? It's like, well, if it was a woman, you would never say a word about it. Men have been conditioned for generations. It's not just now, it's generations. They've been conditioned that you're absolutely not supposed to cry.
Yeah.
Right. And I was conditioned that way, but I just said, screw you, I'm not listening to you.
Interesting.
Right. That was just me. But I know all types of men that, lose their parents and lose their wife and everything else, and they don't cry. They won't cry in front of anybody. Yeah. There's a difference. I believe all men cry, just they don't do it in front of anybody else. Yeah. Because that shows some form of weakness. I was brought up that shows some form of weakness. What kind of, what are you doing crying? You a little girl? It was a form of comment of you're weak and you're feeble.
Yeah.
Right. This was my entire upbringing has been that way. And I can sit there and say, everybody says, well, it's all equal now. No, it's not. No, it's not. You see women all the time when, there's maybe out of 20 women, 14 will sit there and say, oh, look at, he's crying. Isn't that beautiful? Oh, it's nice that he can receive his emotions. 6 of them are going, what a bitch.
Oh, you'll find that from the stigma with women on men as well.
That's what I'm saying. Women on men.
Yeah, that's what I understood.
From men on men. Oh, no. It's like 9 out of 10 will say, what a bitch. Right? The one is probably gay or bisexual. They're probably, because they're much more in touch with their emotions than straight guys.
Yeah.
Straight guys as a whole have been brought up not to be that way, not to respond emotionally, except for anger. Violent anger seems to be acceptable for some reason.
Yeah.
Right? Which is, if you think about it, retarded. It's nuts that showing love, kindness, and compassion emotions is frowned upon in men, but showing anger and violence is actually promoted,
Yeah.
right? If some guy bothers you, everybody promotes go beat the shit out of them,
Yeah.
right? Nobody sits there and says you should be love, kindness, and compassion with them and understand what they think about. Da, da, da. No, everybody, all the guys are like, go pound on them. Here, want us to pound on them? This is the way it is,
Yeah.
right? It's a very different way society deals with things. All the people are the same, but society makes us act in different ways that aren't really the ways we should react,
Yeah.
right? To say that all women should be in a kitchen and all this is the same as saying all men should be on a mechanic. Makes no sense,
Yeah.
right?
But that's your understanding of the world. But a lot of people, from their conditioning, I mean, I was never encouraged either way to be either in the kitchen or being a mechanic. My parents had very little influence in my life, but uh, growing up without that, you have to determine that for yourself from the examples you see put out there in society. And my example was get married, have children,
But every
stay
woman was taught
home.
that. Every woman was taught that,
Yeah,
right?
from
And
home
all,
ec.
it's like from a little girl, you were given, here's your doll, and here's your, little kitchen, and all that, like home ec and all that stuff, everything. But even from lower, like 3 years old, 2 years old, here's your little doll. What color is it? It's pink,
Mm-hmm. I hate
right?
pink.
But this is the way it was, right?
Yeah.
And every little girl had to fit in this mold. And every little boy was, here's your blue, here's your little toy cars and your little toy soldiers, and you go out there and fight.
Yeah.
Right? That's the way it was. And it still is to this day. It's less than it was, but overall, it still is. Right? If I had a son right now and, he was getting into problems in school, and some guy was beating on him or something, I'd probably show him how to fight. Like I'd sit there and say, "Well, is the school doing it? No. Is this going on? No. You know, been to the school, talk to them, all this stuff. Nothing's happening. I'm showing them how to fight."
Well, there's self-preservation, right? You don't you don't let somebody, like, there's a story in one of these books I've read, and it's actually about the experience of a Buddha teacher teaching his student, and the student is oh no, actually it's about this woman that's out in dark and she's walking along and a man tries to grab her, and she has her umbrella and she just gets away from the guy, and she goes and tells her teacher what happened. He goes, well, you should have lovingly and compassionately beat him over the head with the umbrella. And the Buddha is a person who doesn't promote violence. Yes. But
there are
to not
times.
There's always the exception.
Exactly. And
I
I
mean,
try and get that to everybody is there's no such thing as, oh, love, kindness, and compassion. You should always be love, kindness. No, sometimes there's a need to beat somebody over the head.
yeah.
Because some people, and again, not all, it's only a very small percentage, are people that we need to straighten out. There are just a certain amount of people out there that need to be straightened out. And our society doesn't allow anybody to do that. My dad's society, if you were an asshole, four guys would, even if you were a big guy, four guys would take in, like, meet you up in the back alley and beat the crap out of you.
Yeah.
Right? If you were beating up other people or something, right? Or, especially beating up a woman, they would, four or five of them would go in a back alley and beat you up.
Yeah.
Right? Because not one of them could beat you up. They're all, you're way too strong for them.
Mm-hmm.
Right? They would do that back in the days.
Yeah.
Right? It was just like, don't do the, but that being said, there was women and men fighting in the streets, like a man beating on his wife in the streets, and get back in the house, and everybody would sit there and not say a word.
Yeah.
Right? Because at those times, as a woman, you were property. You weren't really much more than property. Right? If you look at marriage from back in the day, back in the 40s, or earlier than that, you really were just, here you are. You even had a dowry to go with you to, here, man, we're giving you money to take her,
Mhm.
right? That's the way it was because you were considered not worth anything,
But
which is wrong, but
one
it
of
was.
that's one of the biggest things that I love about you is that you're open. You are not a closed, even though you saw the conditioning that caused people's um, segregation and
I thought that's wrong
on
too.
yeah, all those things like you know uh, division of the sexes, division of the races. You're all open and loving about accepting all people. It's not color, race, mental status. Like, yeah, you won't get involved with somebody who's violent, but you also are supportive of people who are struggling with mental health. You are supportive of supporting another human being that is ill or.
One of the things I learned really early, and I think everybody should learn that, is what would I feel like if I thought like they do?
Mm,
Because everybody goes on about, how can they do that? I don't understand how they can do that. And it's just like, well, because you don't think the way they do.
right.
Right. And that's often many of the things you don't think that way. That's fine. It's like the difference between men and women. Why do men want to jump around and be with all the different women? Because it's inherently brought into their thing. It's promoted to them. That's it's a guy, and the guys are all going to go, good boy. They're all going to be cheering him on,
Yeah.
right? He's going to have all his friends going, that's awesome. You're great. You're awesome. You don't hear a guy sitting there saying, oh, you bastard, you had sex with another woman. You don't hear that.
Well, they might keep it to themselves. Like,
Yeah.
okay, so for example, like your dad. Your dad, he was married to your mom for forever.
Yeah.
They had a very long,
We
loving
were childhood
relationship.
sweethearts.
Yeah, and when she
Yeah,
passed
some people.
away, he could never fathom remarrying, right? And he's even though he's depressed and lonely now, and he shares that with me all the time, that lack of female companionship, I don't wish that on anybody, or lack of male companionship.
But that's, fortunately, when you are in those loving relationships, one partner is 99% chance going to go before the other.
Yeah.
Whatever partner is left is not going to have a good time. It's got to be a painful. I don't know, but I can put myself in that situation by sitting there and saying, what would I feel like
Yeah.
if that was the situation? And it would be devastating. It'd be very hard to get up in the morning to exist.
Well, that's why I've um told you that if one of us goes first, the other one never to try to make a promise like, oh, don't you ever remarry. I
Oh
would
God,
never
no!
tell you that. I
You better
want
you
you to
better
go
get
on and live
involved with
life.
somebody like they're wheeling me out in the casket. Hey, buddy, what's your name? Yeah. Or hey, girl, what's your? I don't care. It's just whoever makes you happy.
Yeah.
I want you to be happy. If I pass away, I want you to be happy. I do not want you to go, I can't do anything because it's respect to him. No, 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 don't respect me. I'm gone, right? And anybody that says that to you isn't really caring about you, right? Or it
It's like
says
they're
that
coming
you
from a
shouldn't
place of
do anything or
fear.
anything. You should be. If they sit there and say you shouldn't marry anybody after they pass away,
Yeah.
it's like, why wouldn't you want them to be happy?
Yeah.
Like, are you just want to torture them some more or something? I don't know. Yeah.
They, it's a matter of control, I think, from the grave. But
Yeah.
you're the one who allows it or doesn't. I mean, the person is gone, unless you believe in ghosts that they're going to come and haunt you.
There's a lot of people who believe in that. I
Okay.
don't. I don't believe in all the spiritual stuff that you talk about. I believe in the spirituality, but it's nothing like anybody else talks about.
Yeah.
I believe in a never-ending cycle of life.
Yeah.
And people are all like, no, there's a God. And it's either a pizza delivery guy or somebody up in the sky. Not quite sure which one.
Mhm.
But to me, it's just a cycle. life has existed forever, and it's always existed, and it's always been a destruction, creation. And as humans, we cannot get our head around something doesn't end,
Mm.
right? But the reality is, it's just like the universe. People go, it's the universe. Well, what's after that? Nothing. But then what's after that? Nothing. And what's after that? Nothing. But nothing is something, right? Nothing is nothing. So thereby it's something. So now you're telling me it just keeps going on forever and ever of nothing.
Yeah.
Okay, well then it's still going forever and ever.
And that's my definition of love.
Okay. That's one of the problems I find is where can you draw an end to the universe? And you can't. Nobody can draw an end to the universe because we can always go, well, what's after that?
Okay, so let me bridge to some of the questions I wanted to ask you.
Okay.
Okay.
You only got a few minutes now. You only got 15 minutes, so you better hurry up. Come on, hurry. Pressure. No,
okay.
No, yes, maybe, so, yes, no.
Okay. For someone who's struggling with their mental health, how long do you think you could tolerate spending virtually every minute of every day with your partner?
Huh? We spend a lot of days together.
Okay.
But not every minute. Like together or?
Yeah, together.
Oh God, no.
That's not healthy for anyone mentally.
No.
Okay, good. We're in the same plane. I'm trying to get new information out to people I researched on. Okay.
Why would you think it's like you're supposed to stay together every minute of every day?
Well, that happens.
You want to stay together with somebody every minute of every day?
I don't want to be with you either 24/7.
Well, thanks a lot. Now I feel so insulted. I'm leaving.
No, but seriously, I mean, mentally before I clung onto the relationships that way. I thought that I had to be with somebody 24/7, you know.
That was me.
I don't think that way with you.
Yes, you did.
But I think more like that with you because you're so fun to be around.
No, you were like, I mean, like, if I'm home, it's like, why aren't I sitting beside you and holding on to you? If you watch TV, I have to be sitting beside you and watching the show or cuddling with you somehow. And I'm just like,
you resist so badly.
I know. Well, yeah, I do it a lot, but there are times where it's like, okay, I'm not sitting over there. You look at me like a lost puppy. I'm just like,
hey, listen to me.
Please don't do that to me. It's like, come on.
No, we're able to voice when and when we can't.
No, I usually just look at you and just go, I'm just going to do, I got some stuff to do here. She goes, okay.
Yeah. Go.
My
mental health. Okay, being in this relationship has improved my mental health. But I have got to say that is the honest to God truth, because
you support. A lot crazier now. I've taken it all on.
I would give you the finger, but I won't. Okay,
she's number 2. Oh, she's number 2.
Okay, next question. Doing these kind of questions.
Why do you do this to me? Torture me. Next question. This is like the questions, when they used to do, this is let's do the questions. No, as a guy, don't do them. Don't ever do them. You're going to lose. You're going to fail. You're going to be so bad. And they're going to be mad at you for 2 weeks, all because you didn't answer a question they thought you should have answered some way.
That's too funny. Okay.
7.
If you did something thoughtless, would you rather your partner become loudly angry for a few hours or quietly annoyed for a few days?
Oh, loudly angry for a couple hours.
Yeah,
you
don't like the silence.
No,
silence is really bad. Do I give you the silent truth? No, not me.
You're a runaway one. I'm mad. I'm picking off.
Yeah, I still suffer a little bit from flight.
Yeah.
I don't freeze very much anymore. Like the 3 F's when you have mental health issues is fight, flee, and freeze. And I used to freeze a lot, and I used to flight a lot, mostly flight. But fight, I tried that and got broken ribs. So
you fought a guy that got like a 7th degree black belt.
I lost.
It was not a fight. It was a beating. That's all. it was not a. There's no such thing as a fight in that situation.
But what I think that will lead into, I won't bore you with more questions. I'm just having fun with you and the viewers. But I think that leads into the last thing I wanted to talk about, because I've started this new book called The Way of Letting Go. And it's about a woman who had her daughter killed, and how she emotionally and mentally could have been like completely devastated forever. And so the introduction talks about a guy going to meet a gentleman who had a similar kind of very tragic end to his daughter. And 25 years later, he's still living that over and over again and trying to get justice, right? Never forgiven the killer. And this story is about a woman that had her daughter murdered, but she went on to forgive. So I think part of
What? She had her daughter murdered, and then she forgave.
she forgave the murderer.
No, but you said she had her murdered.
No, I'm sorry if I said that incorrectly. Her daughter was murdered.
Okay.
Right? She didn't have her murdered.
Okay. Yes, and then she forgave. Yes.
And then she forgave the killer.
Yeah.
Whereas the other gentleman, he did not forgive the killer.
Okay.
So the
forgiveness is for you. That's
yes, and
bottom
this is
line.
exactly what the introduction does.
Took me years to learn that one. Years to learn that forgiveness isn't about the other person; it's about you.
Yeah. Because that was one of the big things I had to learn with my mental health, was that what you just said, forgiveness was for me and not about the other people, because my mental health was so badly distraught because I couldn't forgive and I wouldn't forgive, and I had to stay angry at this person for what they did to me, and it was just a nightmare. And so I want to leave with this simple last question, and that is that the way the world works? Does tragedy inevitably lead to greater tragedy?
No.
Yeah.
No, absolutely not. Tragedy can lead to great success.
Right? Well, that's
and it's
how
happened over and over and over. Look, even things like seatbelts, right?
Mm.
The reason seatbelts were invented was because somebody lost their wife, their children, their family in a seatbelt accident, and they created something that would fix it. Many, many things in life. Problems have come and created solutions.
Yeah.
Right? By far.
I find what you're saying is 100% accurate, because the problems I had in my previous relationships, all the mental health issues surrounding the traumas that I had from the men that abused me, if I would have held on to that and not forgiven and not looked after my mental health, I wouldn't be sitting here with you today having this conversation, trying to help other people, men or women, find joy in having a relationship with another person. But it always has to stem from, like you always say, I learned that from myself. You didn't focus on your ex-wife, and you knew that you had to do it for you.
That was my dad.
Yeah.
Think for yourself.
Yeah.
Right? Because he was in the army and he might not be there for periods of time. So it was important that he taught me to think for myself. Yeah. Don't let other people tell you what is what and what's what, because very good chance it's wrong. Think for yourself, and you've got to look at it, and your own head will sit there and say, this doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
And then chances are, if it's not making sense to you, you either have to discuss it some more, or you're right, it's not making sense and it's not what it should be.
Yeah, but also to seek help. I mean, I needed help to get over the stigma of how the people that I had deeply loved treated me, so that I could walk into this relationship and say I was ready for a healthy, stable relationship with not only you, but with myself.
No, we've gone through our periods of, you've had issues from past that have come up because I've done or haven't done something.
Yeah.
Right. And they pop up, and most of the time it's like, oh, I didn't know that. Okay, I'll try not to do that. Right. We have that sort of discussion about what it is that's triggering you, And then we'll look at those things and say, okay, well, you know, the same as with me. We've had a couple words, you know, that triggers me, right? And it's just like, you know, but I'll sit there and say, no.
No, you're very good at that.
Yeah.
So I'm wrapping up today. I want to thank you. And normally people tell at the
See this? It goes right through. It goes. Look at it. It's coming right through the hair. Look at me. It goes right back and it comes out here. See? It goes right through. Whee!
Oh my goodness. Anyhow,
I love you.
so you know,
She's so embarrassed now. Look at her. She's trying.
Yeah, that was one of my questions. What is one thing that your partner has done that has embarrassed you? But
Nothing.
Nothing. I've never embarrassed you.
I don't think so.
No, not even bringing you on the show. You embarrassed me being on this show.
You were all embarrassed. Yeah, I was. You know, you were nervous, worried, like you are every time.
Every time.
I know. And I listen to it every time. She comes out and goes, I'm scared. I know you are. It's okay, baby. It's okay.
Yeah. Well, you know, there's an expectation from society that you be all professional and, you know, on podcasts and things like that. But this is who I am. This is what I love to do. And if one single thing, I always say this in my video, is take what you like and leave the rest. If one single thing that we've shared today helps a gentleman or a woman find themselves and find love again. I mean, I didn't at one point, I thought there would be no more relationships for me. I threw the towel in, but thankfully I picked it up off the floor and have you supporting me in everything I do, including these podcasts.
That was Kat. And that's why I have to go kill her.
Yeah. So, well, usually what we tell viewers is that you're going to say where people can reach you, but you're not really employed.
I'm retired.
He's retired.
You can't reach me. Don't bother.
He doesn't have a book. All he has is me harassing him.
I'm not promoting anything. You know, it don't matter to me if you listen or not.
So thank you, honey, for coming on.
All
I
right.
really appreciate it. It was lots of fun.
All right.
And I will say goodbye for now.
Why?
And remember, viewers, please like and subscribe. Have a good day.